India is a country driven by its so-called economic miracle. Towers of concrete, glass and steel are changing the face of the nation's cities. But while the rich are growing very rich, behind these facades, India's epic poverty still runs deep.
Now you have a generation of young urban Indian who's as incomprehending of that other India as any Westerner. They've lost the language to be able to communicate with each other. They've become a different species.
The growing divide between those different species, as Arundhati Roy calls them, is causing deepening resentment amongst India's poor. And the seeds of revolution are beginning to take root.
What we are now seeing is an intentional expansion of the areas of conflict by the Maoists to the entire country.
Maoists, or Naxalites as they're known in India, now exert influence over a third of the Indian subcontinent. In one state alone, Chhattisgarh, police have been powerless to stop a series of shifting and violent clashes between state forces and a strengthening band of Maoist rebels.
This is not a force that comes from a defined area and hits a defined area. It's a force that abruptly condenses in a particular area, executes an attack, and then disperses. And that's the genius of the system. It makes it that much more difficult to predict, prevent, or even take effective action after the incident.
The Maoists find refuge in the dense forests of Chhattisgarh, and they're wary of the media. The commander of this unit would only speak with his back to the camera.
हथियार दिखा करके हमारा सिद्धांत को अपनाने के लिए कहीं भी ऐसा नहीं कहते हैं, हमारा सिद्धांत समझाते हैं। यदि वो अपना सिद्धांत को नहीं मानते हुए वो अपना स्तर में रहना चाहते हैं तो जबरन ऐसा नहीं किया जाता है। जो भी हम लोग एक्शन लिए हैं वो वर्ग दुश्मन, लेकिन इसका पीछे एक राजनीतिक उद्देश्य है। उस उद्देश्य से लेकर के लोगों को संगठित किया जाता है और संघर्ष में उनका चेतना विकसित किया जाता है।
भारत की कम्युनिस्ट पार्टी माओवादी जिंदाबाद जिंदाबाद जिंदाबाद। मार्क्सवाद लेनिनवाद माओवाद जिंदाबाद जिंदाबाद जिंदाबाद। मार्क्सवाद लेनिनवाद माओवाद जिंदाबाद जिंदाबाद जिंदाबाद। साम्राज्यवाद मुर्दाबाद मुर्दाबाद मुर्दाबाद।
The Maoists have mined roads, bombed railways, buses, buildings and schools. And they've carried out brutal attacks on villages, sometimes as revenge for betrayals, sometimes simply to intimidate. The government has responded by relocating entire villages, shifting over 100,000 people into special camps like this. These camps are protected from the Maoists by a vigilante group called the Salwa Jadum, whose members are now assembled from the displaced villages.
So there can be absolutely under any circumstances, no justification for the Salwa Jadum. You can't just throw guns into their hands and say, okay, you do the fighting, we will support you. Civilians fighting the state's battles are completely outside the realm of legal and constitutional methods as far as I'm concerned.
From the ranks of the Salwa Jadum are picked the Special Police Officers, or SPOs. Armed by the state and given the most rudimentary training, the SPOs are then put in the front line in the fight against the Maoists.
They are stakeholders in the party. Most of the SPOs, their family members have been killed by Naxalites, so they have that anger in them. We can't, unleash them, suppose out of anger. So we have given the most basic of weapon.
But the government's efforts to pit villagers against Maoist rebels has only led to an escalation of the violence.
by creating the Salva Judum. It's like pouring poison into the veins of society, and once you've done it, it's very hard to come back, because you've created a situation in which you've paid one part of a community, you've armed them, you've given them the power to go and rape and kill and burn people's houses. How are you going to...
Arundhati Roy is probably best known for her Booker Prize-winning novel The God of Small Things, but she's also a tireless campaigner for the rights of the Indian underclass. She sees the emergence of the Maoists as a symptom of India's blinkered economic drive.
Basically, you have one India which has now seceded into outer space and has joined the elite of the world and is looking down at the old India and thinking, why are these tribals living on our bauxite, and why is our water in their rivers, and why is our furniture in their forests? And how do we get them off the land? And this is what the government wants. It wants 85% of the population to move into cities where it can be easily policed, where it can be easily controlled.
And control is what these camps are all about. I was told these people are free to come and go as they please. But in truth, that's not an acceptable choice anymore. If they go back to their home villages, they risk the anger of the Maoists for leaving in the first place. But remaining here puts them at the mercy of their protectors, the Salva Judum and the police. And that's not a comfort to anyone.
1 month back, police people and Salva Judum people killed 3 tribals who were living in the Salva Judum camp, Matwala. They were killed before the eyes of their wives. The police came out with a press statement that these 3 people are killed by the Naxalites.
Himanshu Danti is a human rights activist committed to finding justice for the villagers. He treads a dangerous path between the Maoists, the police and the Salva Judum.
If you go to the village which are attacked by these police and Salva Judum people, the people will tell you some 10 times, 15 times their houses are burnt. People come back again, they try to reconstruct their own house. Again they are attacked by Salva Judum, they run away again to the forest and they come back. And every time Salva Judum kills people, rape women, kill children, they have least respect for the law.
But the police who are fighting the Maoists deny the Salva Judum are out of control.
The Salva Judum leaders, without our help and without asking us, they cannot do anything. They are completely in our control. We don't allow them to violate the rule of law. Come what may the case be.
Villagers claim that the SPOs and militia are involved in assault and murder. But the villagers have yet to see any of them face a court or even be charged. Are the Maoists winning?
Yes. Yes.
How do you measure that?
Support is increased, their area of control is increased. Earlier they were scattered in some village or in that village. Now they have government is non-exist in more than half of the district.
So we are trying hard for some people to mediate on behalf of there are 3 parties to it, the Salva Judum people, the Naxalites and the administration. Some sort of reconciliation has to happen. Violence will only lead to more violence. It can never be a solution.
India prides itself on being the largest democracy in the world. But Ajay Sani sees it as deeply flawed.
You see, we are a tremendously imperfect democracy. The only thing we have to our credit is the fact that we are able to hold credible elections on a regular basis. But are those elections actually resulting in honest representation? Do the people really have a choice of decent leaders? I think the answers are very easy to get. There are more than 100 criminals accused of serious crime sitting in India's parliament today. As far as I'm concerned, the electoral regularity is the limit of the Indian democratic system.
If you look at the caste system in India, if you look at the violence against untouchables, if you look at the fact that more than 1 million people make their living carrying other people's shit on their heads, if you look at the kind of murders and honor killings and all that's going on here, I mean, India's marketing itself as a democracy is one of the biggest public relations scams of the 20th and 21st centuries, you know.